Hi everybody, this is Whitney Clark with Starlight Adventure. I want to make a video. Actually, I've been trying to make this video. It's kind of over the topic of fear surrounding clairaudience. It has honestly been really difficult for me to make this video, so I'm going to just try to do my best. The fear is a multi-layered thing, and there's so many aspects to it. So one aspect of fear surrounding clairaudience is how hearing voices for so many years, for so long, has been ingrained into our society, that equates like mental health issues, that the person is crazy. There's also the so many years of religious aspect of it, of oh, you're hearing voices and it must mean that you're hearing something bad, or like you a demon, or whatever you want to think about it. There's all that, and fear surrounding the other side, and it's complex. And then there's also the fear of like people worrying about, well, what would people think about me if they actually knew this about me? What if I told people I hear voices? What's that going to be for me? So fear is very multi-layered in this experience. And everyone that is going through this, it's gonna have their different journey surrounding the fear. And it sounds like cliche, but you have to get through this, you have to face your fears. And what happens is that because we have these ingrained programs of fear around us, it kind of, when we wake up and start hearing voices, and say you're a person that hears negative voices, it kind of creates this big, the fear intensifies, because one, you are experiencing something that you're not familiar with. So there's that other layer of fear. You're just like, oh, what's happening? There's so much fear around it. And what'll happen is we'll make the fear up into this big scary monster. And I'm just here to tell you that it's really not a big scary monster. It's quite like, it's actually, once you get through the fear, you're like, wow, I was so scared of that, why, kind of thing. It's truly one of those experiences, or that is the experience that I have had. Like, I built it up into this big scary monster, and like, honestly, I can say I've done a pretty good job of slaying my demons about it, surrounding the fear about it, or going through the fear. And I'm just here to tell you, and not to invalidate your fear, because it's an important experience of what you're going through. But once you get on the other side of it, you'll see how just not very scary at all it is. You'll literally be like, oh, that thing? A big fear I had around my whole experience was the whole mental health component aspect of it. Again, I was very lucky that I had certain people stationed in my life to kind of be like, oh, hey, you're not crazy, you're just clairaudient. And they were able to be a mirror for me to like actually see myself. But still, that belief that if you hear voices, you're crazy, is very, very, very deeply ingrained into our society. So that fear, it'll still pop up for me even today. I'll be honest, like, it's so ingrained there. So in my early stages, what I would do would be kind of get comfortable with that fear. If you want to go on this journey, you're going to get comfortable with fear, or you might be getting comfortable. I got real comfortable with it, to the point where I would jokingly be like, okay, so let's say I live in a reality where I am actually mentally insane, and I have these mental health diagnoses. Well, I guess I'm just gonna go live at the mental health hospital, and I really, really hope they have chocolate pudding instead of the strawberry jello, because I would prefer chocolate pudding over strawberry, just FYI. And I honestly, that's what I would tell myself. And once I started telling myself, it became a thing, and I was like, okay. Because, and I talk about fear too, and I bring up this funny story because, or maybe it's not that funny, I have a dark sense of humor. I bring this story up because if you're a person that's having a negative experience, you're hearing negative voices, those things that you're hearing, they can be very sticky sometimes, like following you around, and they're like feeding off of your fear. And so they find out a fear that you have, they feed off of it. And the more you're afraid, the more you feed them. So they want you to be terrified. So say you have the issue of, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to have a mental health disorder. This gets amplified by like times 10 by whatever you're hearing. Like literally it will echo it back to you so many times and try to make you think that you have a mental health disorder. I'm so serious. And I had to just get sassy at a certain point in time and be like, fine, I have one. Whoop-de-doo. I'll just go eat not purple pudding. Chocolate pudding then. I'll take the serving of chocolate pudding, please. So that's kind of, I might be explaining this in a roundabout way. And I know maybe I'm inflaming some fear. If that's the case, what's happening, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually my goal is to alleviate some fear, because I can tell you, again, they're not big monsters. It's like a little tiny thing, like a mosquito. And in my perspective of what is happening, is you can think of yourself as an antenna, and you're just picking up on all these different radio waves, these radio frequencies. And that's essentially what's going on. And because you're just waking up to it and you don't know how to navigate it yet, it's kind of like you're all over the place. Like it's kind of like riding a bicycle, when you first started riding the bicycle, you fell down a lot and you scuffed your knees or whatever like situation you got into when you're riding the bicycle. But once you learn how to ride the bicycle, you learn how to ride it for the rest of your life. It's the same way here. And it's just that this really isn't taught in schools. Like, I mean, like, where are you going to find this? Maybe there's probably some books on it and everything, but it's not mainstream knowledge. So somebody who wakes up one day and hears voices, what tools do they really have to navigate what they're hearing, especially if it's negative stuff? That's why gaining sovereignty is so important, like standing in your power, like learning how to love yourself, and also saying, no, I don't believe that. Because a lot of the negative frequencies, they'll try to trick you, because again, they want to feed off of you. They're like, what a tasty meal, this person who can feed me all the fear that they have, like, wonderful. So it's kind of like, don't feed the fear. If you've got something telling you that you're crazy, be like, no, I'm not. Or, hey, okay, if you want to think that way, make it a joke, like, I'll go eat the chocolate pudding. But also just being like, no, that's not my reality. Also, if it's telling you to do something that's like awful, don't listen to it. Like, you wouldn't if you had a physical person standing in front of you telling you to go do some awful thing, you probably wouldn't do it. So why would you do it if you hear a voice telling you to do it? You just don't do it. You just say, no, thank you, goodbye. So if you're a person that has issues hearing negative beings, negative entities, whatever you want to look at them as, there are so many tools and tricks out there. Use anything at your disposal. And on some days, one tool might work better than the other. Just because something works better one day than on another day doesn't mean that tool that used to work really well doesn't mean that it doesn't work anymore. It just means that on that particular day, in that particular moment, a different tool works better for you. You can always go back to that old tool. It's a whole tricky part of this. It's also another layer of fear, because say one of your tools doesn't work one day and you're like, oh no, it's not working. And it's like, yes, it is. It is working. Every step you're taking is working. It's just that one might be more effective, more potent for that particular day than, say, your tool that you used to use the day before, or even that morning before. Like, things change moment by moment. So fear can happen or come up whenever you use a tool that you found that used to work and it just doesn't seem as potent anymore. They still work. Trust me, they still work. I am trying to keep this video shorter because my last one was like 15 minutes long. But when I say tools too, I mean like switching frequencies, switching to a different tower, using sage, prayer. There are I even use a tool where a drawing tool, or I say drawing tool, I draw out my stuff. That's another method. There's so many methods, aka tools, that you can use at your disposal, that you can learn from all different walks of people, like somatic therapy, all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff works. Some negative entities will try to make you think that they have control over you, that they have power over you, that they could have control of your body, or whatever thing that they might that's coming to you, that's saying those things. Just know that they are all lies. Like, they cannot they can't just like take over your body. They can make you think that they can. So it's kind of like, you can think of it like brainwashing. If someone tells you something enough and you start believing in it, then it becomes true. So you choose not to believe whatever that person is saying to you. And again, if a person is standing in front of you and telling you lies to your face, imagine, I brought this up before, like that narcissistic personality type or traits in a person with a, what's it called? An empathic person in a relationship together, and that person is trying to gaslight you. It is the same way with negative beings, and I'll just call them negative beings. It's the same way. They will try to gaslight you, so you don't believe in what they say. Stand in your power. Be like, no, I do not believe that. That is not for me. Go away. And you can just say, go away. Or learn to ignore it and be like, I'm not listening to this, and then tune to another tower. I know I might be making it sound easy. Sometimes it is that easy, just making that switch and training yourself to do that. Once you learn how to do that, it is so easy, like smooth sailing, like, nope. And you might hear some really, really awful things. Literally, they will, if they're super kind of like tricky, they will pick up stuff that you don't like hearing about, and they'll just like blare it all the time. It's super annoying when that happens. And they'll try to get a rise out of you, like anger, because the more anger you feed it, guess what? The more it gets fed. So the more anger you feed it, the more fear you feed it. If you get sad about like everything, about what's going on with it, it feeds it. So you want to just divert all that energy that you're feeding whatever's following you around into something else. Treat the whatever is here, whatever you're listening to, just like you would a normal person, a normal physical person. If a normal physical person was yelling at you and saying horrible things to you, any of those things, you wouldn't put up with it. You would walk away. You can do the same here. Go to a different frequency tower, change the channel, listen to something else. Tell yourself, I'm not listening to this anymore, and switch over. I hope this helps. I can be a little scattered sometimes, but I hope that if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. Thanks for listening. Bye.